Okay, I don't know if this is like a demo or something like that, but let me open the issue. I'm sharing my screen.
Also, hi and welcome to Ken and Farhan. Oh, and Rahab, who's just joined us. So, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, so everyone can see my browser now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be concise and short, over the last few days, I was trying to create Prometheus. Like you see this typical MR where basically pass the version to the operator, add renovate. So we keep up with the last versions more easy. We can talk about the other days later, but surprise, surprise, it was not working. So I write this issue so we can fix it in the future. But typical thing, you merge the MR, you wait for him to do their thing, and you find that, oh, nice, the version has been updated. But then, surprise, you go in depth and you see what is not being updated. It's been still running the previous version, and the Prometheus will infometric reports the old version. And then from there is a rabbit hole between a fight between what the operator, how the operator works and how Helm works. So for example, here, this is the code of the Prometheus operator. It has a method called make stateful set spec, which renders the, as you expected, the Kubernetes stateful set spec, where in this particular area here calls operator boot image path, passing the attributes that you have in the spec, the image and the version. In this case, will be this version field. And then if you go in depth within that code, let's take a look at that here. Basically, you see like, oh, this is my spec image, this is my base. If you define a spec image, I bail, basically I return there. If you have an image, I don't do nothing about it. Only the version is handled here, basically in this one. So the normal use case is you have a base image and you have a version in the operator, and this should be the normal use path, code path. But in this case, we always have a spec image, and then ergo bails here. So ignores completely the version. Back to where I was. So the takeaways for that operator is that the version should be managed Prometheus, but if you specify image, it will be text preference, and that's been design decision. Like for my understanding is you normally want to use the version, but if you want to build your own image or you want to run something that's special, you will use the image to point to a different thing, and then the operator will do manage the lifecycle. That's okay, that's fine, but let's combine that now with the Helm chart. And here's the kicker of the problem. This is the Helm chart where creates the configuration for these two flags, right? So if you provide an image in the spec, it basically goes to this rabbit hole to support register, image tag, image SA, everything. You can see here the version field is hidden on this code branch as well, image. And then on top of that, it has always default values for image. So basically, the Helm chart is always passing an image to the operator. So it doesn't matter what you put in the version field, it will ignore it all the time. So that's kind of like when I waste almost a day of work, figure out why it's not working, and then I wrote the issue about this. And then the Endless tool is finally, I have a merge request here. Files. Sorry. The Endless tool will be similar to this merge. This one, for example, which is like finally updating the whole state environment to the right version, which is you need to pass the version and you need to pass the tag, and both need to have the same value for now until we fix that issue and we fix that upstream. And again, same renovate comment, so we can keep the versions up to versions more easy. So that's kind of the issue, basically. I know you have anyone.
Do we need to specify both? Like if the image is taking precedence, why don't we just specify the image?
Because the operator used the image internally to know what version is running and make decisions about what feature flag is enabled or not. If we go back to the code, onto here, like for example, here in the Prometheus types, it use that version to make decisions about what feature flag has enabled, what feature flags are not enabled. It has a matrix of compatibility to say, this feature is not enabled in this version, which is implemented somewhere else. So you definitely need to provide version, and then ergo version and image should always be the same one. If not, you are in trouble. So it's kind of like poor decision, you ask me, in the Helm chart to do that way, and mostly because it's usually inventing the wheel. You see within the operator, you already having common defaults that says where's the image, where's the repository of the image, where's the theme. So the Helm chart is redefining all that again, which is not needed whatsoever. But you know, it's the typical thing in open source where someone doesn't talk with other people. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if it's interesting or not, but I was like very surprised that was not working until I figured out why.
Are you creating an issue for that upstream as well?
Yes, that's the plan. I want to search across all the issues. We have many issues open to figure out if this is already reported or not, and if not, report this and try to agree on a solution upstream so we can avoid no need to provide image and version again.
Nice.
Yeah. Any questions on any other things, or we move on to the next thing? No questions. I think we can.
No, the next one was from Sam, and I think we talked about this last one. Somebody to try out deploying a new Hello World service on Runway. I don't know if we ever found a volunteer for that.
Yeah, I dropped a message in G Scalability, but I'm not sure if anyone came forward. Although it may be interesting, got Sylvester on the call, right? And Marco. I know you folks have both been playing with Runway recently. Have you got anything to kind of show some of the new team members and get them a little up to speed on what we're doing and how we're using Runway? That could be interesting. No is always an option.
Yeah, but I've just been following what Graham did, which is just fork an existing project and get it and deploy it to Runway. So I could show the pipeline and what I did, but it's fairly following it's mainly just following the onboarding doc. But I could share if they're interested. Hold on, let me share my screen then. Oh wait, let me whip up all those. Let me open up all those tabs first.
While you do that, Sylvester, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I followed the Slack thread loosely on this. I think there was some feedback that we have something like 8 different services configured in Runway, and only one of them is actually what's in production, i.e. AI Gateway. I think the rest of them are kind of like test services that have been created along the way. So I think Chance, has taken an action to figure out how we clean those up. I think there was slight hesitance to add yet another Hello World service on top of kind of all of those that we already have. So yeah, that's a work in progress.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed. We do have an example service, but the example service is fairly bad. There's only an Nginx image there. So I was coming from a development, like Runway development point of view, where it would be nice if it wasn't an Nginx image, it was like an actual Hello World that we can use to, let's say, test out failure conditions. Let's say we want to. I believe there's a task where we monitor staging actively and stop the deploy. Then, so if we have an example hello world app where we could just like specify a few metrics and have a branch, push a branch where the metric fails intentionally, and we could test that. So from a developer experience, that'll be pretty nice. Because right now we are just forking the only one, which is AI assist, and that project is moving at its own pace, and we then have to sort of like jerry rig it to fail in a certain manner. So yeah, I think that would be, I think that'll be useful, but I've not actively started on any projects yet too, so I could be wrong. I'll just share my screen as to what the onboarding, how I onboarded my. Yeah, so I think a couple days ago I onboarded this project. And like I said, I just forked the existing AI assist, and let me open up a couple of tabs for those. I guess this is sort of a good example is when you want to sort of know more about Runway, rather than Graham's the expert to talk about it. I'll just go like talk about what I went through, and you can sort of a novice point of view. So yeah, I think Runway doc's probably the best, and then straight away you go straight to onboarding. At least that's what I did. And onboarding, it's so there are these steps, and so then you just click on provisioner, and you open up the inventory JSON, and that's where you and you'll see a lot of examples, and you probably, and the logical thing is just follow one of them, which is what I did. I just followed what Graham did, and I pasted below, adjusted to my namespace, and I also forked the project, and then you go back, and so yeah, sort of read through all the descriptions. You can observe that, you can see that the dummy projects are very simple, whereas the actual ones in production, they do take advantage of more other keys. And yeah, so when you generate your project, when it gets merged, it will generate a project which is this one, and it has a YAML which pulls in the deployment project Runway YAML and all the CI tasks. So this is where the project actually deploys. Like deployment steps are here. So you can click this. I deployed yesterday, thanks to some help from Graham's. Yeah, so this is what you get if you were to onboard a service, and like there's all these like different. So this was the thing I was talking about. Staging monitor doesn't do anything actually. It just I believe it echoes something. Yeah, it just echoes look good. But in the future, this is supposed to wait for a while, monitor some metrics from staging, and stop the pipeline if there's anything going wrong. Yep. So let me go back to the onboarding list. So that would be like step one. Step one is done. So I'm not going to actually do it again, but I'll just show what was set up already. So next would be step two is done technically. We checked the generated project. It has the random hash at the back, which this one. Yeah, so the 1579XX, that's the random hash. Then you've got to allow the job token scope, which is hold on, where is it? Here. So the original project, the one that I fork, or the one that you write, the depending, I think it's CI setting, you can just go down to open access, and you've got to add in the deployment project, so that you can trigger the deployment project from the service project, and it wouldn't have an error. So yeah, so this part, step four, I didn't really do it because I forked an existing working Runway service. But then the danger of forking is that you've got to update your Runway service ID, which I did not. And you can see it in wrong, not this. I always get confused. And this, because I forked AI assist, so it used AI gateway, but because the pipeline was well designed, it stopped the deployment. It just failed it at the pre-flight check. So after correcting this, it then deployed the pipeline on the deployment project. So I was just checking whether any questions. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, you got to copy and paste this into your GitLab.ci YAML. The one on the one for AI assist is already there, so I didn't have to do anything. But wrong. Sorry, it's a bit more developed than yeah. So yeah, you've got to add this into the include portion. And yeah, and specify I guess a runway version. For runway developers, this is one way where you could develop using the CI. You could point it to the version which you're sort of working on. So I think I believe Graham will have modified it to point to a particular branch or a tag, and for development, which is pretty useful, I guess, especially for backend engineers. If you don't have that much access rights to go into the machines and things like that. Let me go back to the onboarding. Yeah, and so yeah, next step is there number 5? No, there's no 5, but yeah, we can go to 6. Is to check the deployment, check the pipeline, and make sure everything has gone through. So is there much things to talk about? Yeah, all right. Yeah,
I can.
Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
I was going to jump in and say, like, there's a lot of steps there at the onboarding, and one of the big reasons that there's a lot of really fiddly steps and a lot of steps that are manual is actually due to kind of the way the GitLab product works, like the CI access token stuff. We can't automate it. Honestly, a lot of it is fighting permissions issues within GitLab. And I was explaining this when I was running through this with the people. A lot of this can be massively improved, and we can actually get rid of this whole deployment project, service project split altogether once GitLab CI or GitLab the product gives us the ability to develop a GitLab CI snippet or a GitLab CI setup that people can use that they can't modify or override. That's the key here. If you include a snippet into your local repo and your local GitLab CI setup, you can essentially change anything in that snippet. Right. So like by including the runway configuration, runway CI setup, you get all the runway set stuff, but you could actually change that. You could set variables on that. You could essentially work around and essentially bypass any of the safety measures we have in place, including deploying to the wrong project like production AI gateway or something. So the deployment project split and the permissions issue headaches it has is designed to give us that safety. But if the product was improved, and I think there is a proposal to do that, they call it GitLab Steps, GitLab CI by Steps or something, then we could basically develop runway pipelines and be like, these are locked down, people can't change them, these are the only variables they can pass in, and we can validate them. Then we could actually drop the deployment project altogether from Runway, which would massively simplify a huge part of it, both the onboarding process, the development process, and the usability of it.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. We had a call yesterday, and I pasted the link to the notes from the call into the demo doc, so anyone can check it out. So yeah, so I'll follow up on that to update documentation. Yeah, and that I think Graham made a good point on the separation of like having a deployment project and a service project. I think that's one of the it's not a blocker, but it made it a little more confusing when I onboarded. Like you got to check between projects and then because I had the wrong runway service ID, I was checking between 4 projects, 2 sets of deployment and service projects to figure out what went wrong, and yeah, they have very similar names, and yeah, it took a while, but yeah, it's more of a developer experience. So, yeah, anything to reduce friction for onboarding would be good.
Yeah, and the reason we have to do the runway service IDs is because inconceivably, when we create a GitLab project, if you offboard a runway service and then onboard it again with the same name, which could be happen in the future, if we didn't have a suffix that was random, then GitLab would complain. We're trying to create a project that was previously deleted. Like projects get deleted, they get archived for a while. You can't reuse the name again. So as I said, it's all related. All roads lead back to that problem of trying to basically give developer repos the permissions to do deployments in a way that's safe, that they can't deliberately or accidentally change the kind of deployment mechanism we have.
Yeah, and even accidentally is probably the biggest one, isn't it? It's quite a common workflow to go, oh yeah, I want to do that. Let's fork that project. Oh, CI's running. That's weird.
Yeah, I was, when I clicked the deployment pipeline and I noticed that the name changed, I quickly canceled it. But yeah, it was still quite scary. Yeah, I think that's about it for my sharing. There's no metrics right now. I could show you the dashboard, but it's just a flat line. And yeah. So I don't think I think Sam, what you're looking for probably wasn't what my demo was, because I think you wanted a full step-by-step kind of thing for us to observe and see the confusion, like clicking back and forth, right? I sort of did that yesterday on my own. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to iterate through that a few times, and like you said, having a bit more of a built out hello world app that we can use as a testing scenario would probably be a good thing. Even if it's, look, we can update the words here and change the font color to red, and this is how fast it runs through, runway. And like you said, put in some failure conditions that are a bit easier for us to control and kind of work through the pipelines. So we're always looking for volunteers to help us figure out the rough edges, is what I can say. So if you already have a Hello World app ready to go, yeah.
Great. But is there anything else that anyone would like to show today? Great. Okay, well, before we log off, just also a warm welcome to everyone who's come into Scalability this week. I know it's been an interesting week all around. I just wanted to highlight as well that the demo calls do happen at different times each week. So we've set one up for UTC morning and one up for UTC afternoon. If we're finding that the times don't work, we're happy to adjust that. And the purpose of the demo calls really is just a show and tell of things. Like you can see from today, it's not super polished. It's not an end-to-end presentation of everything that works beautifully. Like often a lot of the really good discussions come from someone showing something that they just don't know how to reason through, and then we talk through it and it lands up as some interesting conversation about some other technology that's over there. And it's just about getting the team together, having a technical chat, and having the space to do that. So really encourage you to think of things as you're working through the week that might be interesting to show the group, even if they're not polished and completely shiny. That's totally fine. But looking forward to seeing you all on the next demo call, which is next Thursday in UTC afternoon. And hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.